What's up, guys? So what I'm going to go through today is what it's like owning a Toyota Supra and the things that I like about it and things that I dislike about it. First thing I'll say is the thing I'll start with the things that I like. It's very fun to drive. Turns a lot of heads, gets a lot of attention from younger, older people, mainly younger people who've seen Fast and Furious and things like that. It's a very good conversation piece. People come up to you and ask you, what it's like having it, or how much you paid for it, or where'd you get it, or how long have you had it, and everyone wants to know if it's a manual or if it's an auto or if it's twin turboed, or it's just a very good conversation piece. Another thing that I like about this particular car is it's Alpine Silver and it's got a black interior. It's, in my opinion, one of the best combos besides maybe Imperial Jade Mica or an RSP car. I love silver. I love my first Supra that I ever had was an MK2 and it was actually silver as well. So it's kind of funny that this one's silver. Some other things that I like about it. I particularly like that this is a target top. I mean, I really love hard tops, but it's, on a nice day when you can pull the top off and just cruise around with the top off, it's pretty enjoyable. I mean, another thing that's really good about this car is, in my opinion, is it's easy to work on. Pulling the motor out of this car, pulling the transmission, I mean, it's fairly easy. It's like legitimately like 6 bolts. 6 bolts, you pull the harness out, you can pull the whole motor and transmission out. It's pretty easy. I mean, other than that, that's about it for the things that I would say that are good about it, besides, the blow-off sound and pretty much just the natural enjoyment and my love for it. Let's get into some of the bad things about this car. I could go on for days, but one of the bad things about this car is parts are very expensive, and not only are they expensive, they're very hard to find. Everybody wants an arm and a leg. I mean, headlights are getting to be $1,200-$1,500 for new ones. Transmissions are $5,000. I mean, engines are roughly $4,000, $4,500 used. I mean, the seats, interior parts, especially the black interior parts, are very expensive. The dash panels are very expensive. Every part of this car is stupidly expensive. Another bad thing is Toyota discontinued all the parts for this car. So unless they have new old stock, they do not produce any new stock for this car. It's just one of those things. The other thing is it's 20 years old now. It's a little aged, it's a little dated. I would say it doesn't have quite the creature comforts as, like, say, my C7 Corvette, which if I had to choose to drive one every day, I obviously would choose the Corvette. It's just nicer to drive. I drove not this particular car, I drove a twin turbo red Supra, a 5-speed twin turbo swap. I drove one every day for almost 2 years. It's a fun car, but every little thing that happens costs money. I mean, any type of seat wear or I don't know, any type of door ding or dings in the parking lot, it's just a headache, especially if you have a VIN matching car. This car in particular is completely VIN matching. It's got VIN matching windows and everything, so for that reason, it never leaves this garage. It pretty much has been in this garage for almost 2 years. And not left. I started once in a while, drive around the block, and it just comes right back inside here. And then I end up pulling things off of it and, rebuilding stuff for no reason. It's got brand new seats, brand new interior, brand new carpet. I mean, anything that I can buy from Toyota. I got brand new dash panels, brand new headlights, brand new front bumper from Toyota, all this stuff just to kind of keep it in tip-top shape. Let's get into some of the more, I guess, nuisance things about it. It is a target top. I said that earlier. It's desirable. It's enjoyable because it's target top, but it's got a lot of body flex. Whenever you go over bumps and things, it kind of flexes. The target top tends to rattle on most target tops. This one's not really bad. I've had worse. I had a red target top that was annoying as hell. It would rattle me to death. But I mean, it's the aftermarket. The aftermarket parts are expensive, but the car responds to mods well, which is one of those good things. Another bad thing is everywhere you go, someone wants to race you. Someone wants to race you. Someone thinks you have. Everybody thinks you have 1,000 horsepower, and when you don't, they're disappointed. They're just like, "What do you mean it's stock?" I'm like, "Well, it's a VIN matching car. It's low mileage. I would rather keep it stock, and a lot of things of that nature." And people just don't understand. I mean, and I've had automatic models, and people go, "Oh, that's a nice car. You got a Supra. Oh, it's automatic." I'm like, "It's still a Supra." This particular model is a twin turbo 6-speed, which is one of those reasons I don't ever go anywhere in it, and I kind of don't drive it much. If the transmission breaks, you're out $5,000. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's only a few companies in the United States that'll even work on your transmission, let alone if you can get parts. A lot of the gear sets and the shift linkages and forks and things like that they're a limited number, and they're just hard to come by. There's a guy named Vanderkamp, or he's on some of the super groups and super forums. He does reproduce some of the gear sets and hardened gears, but once again, you're looking at $3,000 or $4,000 just in parts for a transmission. That doesn't even include the rebuild. So that's some of the bad things. It does get a lot of attention, which once again could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on your likes and dislikes. I personally like it to an extent. Sometimes it's annoying whenever I'm out with the girlfriend or out at dinner and someone stops me and wants to talk for 20 minutes. My girlfriend definitely does give me shit about it sometimes. She's like, all right, you've talked enough about your car, so you can go. We should leave. But other than that, I like it. Aftermarket parts are very easy to get for this car. Everybody in the world swapping 2JZs into things, so I mean that's a plus. But these things are getting old. I do worry about motor limitability. Sometimes one day in the future the motors will be very hard to come by, so you don't want to throw a rod through the side of a block or anything like that. It would be very, I would say, costly. And I mean, just little stuff like that. These tail lights are getting to be discontinued. You can't get them anymore. The headlights, I don't even think Toyota carries any stock anymore. I believe someone bought out the stock, but I'm not 100% sure on this. But that's just how the game goes. And with the prices on these increasing the way they are, I mean, at the beginning of 2019, we had 3 of them sold. One sold for $121,000, one sold for $148,000, and one sold for $150,000. So the prices on these are skyrocketing. So if you do wreck one and you total it for would be horrible, but if you did, replacing one would be very hard for me right now. I don't think I could. I don't think if I lost this car or even if I sold this car would I buy one again. And that comes to my other conclusion. This is the little bit of the ugliness of it. As these cars are going for, I mean, a very good example, twin turbo 6-speed, in my opinion, is worth about $60,000, $65,000. But being me driving one every single day, I mean, I've driven one for, I believe, 90,000 miles. I put 90,000 miles on my last red one, and it's not the most comfortable. The radio does is, I mean, of course you can change the radio out, but it doesn't have like Apple CarPlay, or you literally have to take all your speakers out and replace them, or you'd have to do a lot of work to get the quality that you get out of something brand new, which is kind of why I drive a C7 now. I actually was buying and selling Supras quite often. That's why I had so many. And instead of buying a white hardtop, I was looking at a white hardtop in Washington that I was actually going to purchase. And instead I bought my white C7 because it was just a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more, I could buy parts from the dealer. I didn't have to worry about haggling with some guy that hoarded parts and now is asking 8 times what it's really worth. But other than that, these cars have a great following. They're amazing to own. I mean, I this is of every dream car that anyone can have. A lot of people have like Lamborghini Countaches or a GTR or whatever. This was always my dream car. This was the first MK4 Supra that I ever purchased, and I don't ever think I will sell it. I toss around the idea sometimes, but I really don't think I would. I mean, I barely drive it anywhere. I barely enjoy it. I just end up buying and storing parts for it. So I mean, that could be a good thing or a bad thing for some of you. I had some red ones and a white one, just because I literally bought the first red one after this one, and so I could drive an MK4 every day. I wanted to modify it. I wanted to do things with it that I would say I would not want to do to this particular car. I wanted a TRD wing. I wanted a TRD hood. I wanted, a Ridox front bumper. I wanted all this stuff that I kind of set out. I wanted a big single turbo. I wanted, just all this stuff that's really unnecessary. But so I bought another one and I fixed it up and I did what I could with it. And I don't know. I mean, I had my fun with it. I drove it every day. I got tons of people talking to me and wanting it and buying it. And funny story is, and actually a guy followed me to my work one day and he, said, "Hey, are you ever want to sell that car?" I kind of talked to him a little bit, shot him an offer, said, "Hey," I kind of just threw him, "Hey, you come here with this much cash, sure, I'll sell it to you." And lo and behold, a few months later, he calls me up, says, "Hey, you still have that Supra?" I said, "Yes, I do." He says, "Well, I got that cash for you. Bring the title to your work at 5 o'clock and we'll make that deal." So I sold the red Supra, and then I was on the hunt for another one and never ended up actually getting another one after that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those, I would say it's a life car. It's one of those things that this will probably be the last MK4 I ever own. I don't know if I would ever go and purchase another one. I know all the quirks of them. I know a lot of things about them. There's a lot that I would have to consider if I even wanted to buy one. But mainly it's the parts. Not being able to buy a part from the dealer, from the factory, brand new in a box, just kills me. I hate buying parts. You buy a brand new dash panels, $1,500. You get them and some tabs are broken, or the dashes are notorious for warping. Right above the gauge cluster, they like to warp, and then right in the vent in front of the windshield, they like to peel up. And you can't buy dashes for them. You can't buy, door panels, the door cards on the inside they're very expensive to replace, and over time you wear them. If you let people ride around your car and they don't really care about it, you end up wearing those things. So with this car, it just kind of sits in this garage and collects dust. That's kind of how I don't know. Sometimes I feel horrible for owning a car like this and not driving it, but at the same time, I get to come in the garage and look at it every day. It's my little garage queen. So, well, tell me what you guys think. Tell me anything that you would think about, what if you have a Supra, tell me the things you like and hate about it, or if you want a Supra, tell me the things that you are, thinking they are, or if you have any questions, don't, comment below and tell me what you'd like. But other than that, that's about it, guys.